Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 158. I was black here, and we got into the French defense. Here, let's check out the opening book. e4, e6, and then knight f3. So knight f3 is an unusual move, and if black wants to play a French defense, he can continue with d5, which according to the chess engine is still the best move. Playing c5 transposes into a Sicilian, which if you started out with e6, I mean, if I wanted to play a Sicilian, I would have played c5 first. So staying in the French d5. And now the move knight c3 is the two knights version of the French. And Bobby Fischer used to play this. It's not considered particularly good. He got into trouble when he was playing in his first candidates tournaments with the Russians. They'd figured out some weaknesses in this system, and they used it. They exploited these weaknesses and took advantage of young Bobby's opening preparation here. So he stopped playing this line after a while. Although it looks like it's a playable line. But my opponent didn't play that. He played knight e5. Now we're completely out of the opening book. So let's go back to the notation tab, and just want to talk about this. In general, so my opponent is playing overly aggressive moves that are not justified by the position. He's moving his piece twice in the opening, and you can see already that black has an advantage. But you can't just play any old move. So maybe this chess postmortem will serve as an example of how to play against this type of overly aggressive play by your opponent. So the first thing you need to notice is that f6 is not a good move because of queen h5 check. And I've even been checkmated like this. For example, if there's a piece here, you move your king up and then the queen comes here and delivers checkmate. Although in this case the king can escape to d6. But this does not really look too appetizing, and that's not even the best continuation. I guess the best continuation is really knight to g6 check. And it says the best option is to take it if you try to run away. Oh yeah, he's just winning the rook in the corner anyway, so if you don't take it. So you lose the exchange, and this knight is threatened, so you have to play king f7. Looks like a pretty decent position for white. So so when your opponent plays these overly aggressive moves, you are going to get an advantage with careful play, but you have to consider what his follow-up is going to be. And with that in mind, d takes e4 is probably the best move. It turns out I can take that and get away with it. But I play the simple developing move knight f6, which is not bad. It keeps an advantage for black. So we went bishop b5 check, and I blocked with the pawn c6. So that's maybe another idea to keep in mind. If you can block these things in the simplest way, you just need to make sure that there's no tactics like when knight takes, bishop takes. But because the knight is still covering c6, that's not possible. And it says now his best retreat is to e2, but he went to a4. And now I could continue harassing with b5, but I don't like to get too far behind in development, so I play knight bd7. So he should probably just take, and we get kind of a normal position where black has a slight lead in development, and I'm willing to play like that. He continues his aggressive play with d4. And now I should just take on e5. It says I can play b5 too, or take on e4. I decided to take on e5. But what I missed was here I should just take on e4. That's just a loose pawn there, and that's a good outpost for the knight. It can't get chased away. If you take it and he plays f3, they're trying to chase it away. It has good squares to go to. It can come here, for example, to c5, harassing the bishop, and then back around this way, or it could come back to this side. No, let's check this out with the engine. Knight takes e4, and c3. Oh, queen h4 check, even better. Okay, so you can sort of turn the tables on your opponent. So really the knight is perfectly safe on that square. So that's a thing to keep in mind. So I didn't notice actually I could take the pawn. I played knight d7, and now I'm sort of letting my opponent back in the game a bit. He played bishop f4, and I continue developing with bishop c5, e takes. And now it says the best way to take back is e takes d5. I took back with the c pawn. I'm not sure why that's so much worse. Does he have a tactic here after this? It says he can play queen to g4. And then if I were to castle, I guess he has bishop h6. So it's recommending g6. Okay, so he can induce a weakness. Whereas if I take with the e-pawn, now queen here is not particularly good. I can just castle. And if he tries bishop h6, g6, bishop takes f8. Where is this leading? Knight takes f8. And I'm hitting his queen. So queen has to retreat. So let's count up. I've got 3 pieces and he has 2. I've got a rook. You know, this is funny. This is still, oh, queen a5 check. Okay, so this is a long variation. This is not, so it's not entirely obvious why e takes d5 is better than c takes d5, I have to say. So, okay, I played a reasonable move here. And then he castled. And I castled. And so I'm still maintaining my slight advantage to this part. He plays queen h5, always going for the most aggressive move here. And now it's safe to play f6. There's no knight here, no knight tricks coming in, and I want to undermine the center. So this is a good move at this point. He goes c3, and I can just take this pawn when I do. Bishop to g5. Okay, attacking my queen. And I played knight f6. Okay, still a good move. It also was saying I could have played queen to b6. I was wondering about that, but I don't like moving my queen away from the action when there's a potential attack brewing. You have to be a bit cautious. So he took, and now I should really take back with the queen to defend my e-pawn. So there's a mistake on my part. I took back with the rook, and now he can grab this e-pawn. He played bishop c2 first, which is okay. He's threatening mate, and I've got to respond to that. And now, oh, it looks like I had a good reply there. e4. Okay, yeah, that saves the pawn. And so I have a strong central mass there, and also it blocks his bishop. Okay, interesting. Missed that idea. So I play h6, just getting out of the mate threat. And his queen can't go onto this diagonal and deliver more mate threats unless it gets all the way back here to d3. He plays queen takes e5, though, grabs the pawn. So I still have an advantage, but there was no real need to give that pawn back with careful play. And I play queen f8. It says I should go ahead and play rook takes f2 now. So this is, I was actually thinking about this. The thing is, after rook takes f2, he takes bishop takes f2, king takes, where's the tactic? Queen b6 check. Oh, this is nice. Yeah, I didn't see this. I saw queen b6 could increase the pressure, but I didn't see this check. So now the king moves, say king g3. But anyway, the idea is you can take on b2, and this rook has no squares, and there's no way to defend it. Although it changed look at that. The chess engine changed its mind all of a sudden. So maybe, okay, so let's go forward. Why is this not just winning a rook? Because he has the move queen e2. King f7. Why can't I just... oh, the queen is sort of trapped over here. Let's see, if I take here, then queen e8 is checkmate. Okay, I can't allow checkmate. King f7, king f8. Bishop g6, and white's getting the upper hand. Okay, so it does not pay to get too fancy here. Anyway, that would have been a long variation, but it turns out the chess engine misevaluated that at first. So it thought it was good at first, and now it's had, yeah, bishop takes f2, check. It's liking that better. Bishop takes f2, check. Let's see if this has the same problem. Yeah, rook takes f2. So it's no, just A bogus evaluation there, a horizon problem on the chess engine. Okay, so it's no good taking on f2 just yet. I was wondering, my idea was to take with the rook, rook takes, and then queen b6, thinking I could win the rook, but he could just bring the queen back to defend, so I didn't see that really leading to a whole lot. So I play queen f8, and just with the idea of piling up on the f file, and now b6, getting my bishop out and threatening along this diagonal. So if I can undermine the support of f2, this bishop contributes. So I've got 3 pieces pointing directly at f2 and a 4th piece helping out by driving away defenders. So c4 blocking, so he has to give up a pawn here. And c4, it says I should play something other than taking that pawn. Queen e7, queen f7. Maybe queen f7 is an interesting idea, so you can bring the rook over to f8. Okay, I took the pawn, and now I missed this idea. This is neat. I can play c3 here, and it's a double attack. The bishop is once again attacking the rook. And I was thinking, well, it doesn't matter so much because I'm no longer threatening to take on f2 with these pieces blocked by the knight. But if the rook moves, then I can just take on b2. So that's going to be a strong pawn here. And it says rook to c8 or bishop to b4. Okay, and the game would continue. So, but with this pawn here, it looks pretty good So bishop b7 allows him a little bit of time. He can't quite get an advantage here, but he has time to move his knight away. I'm going to take that knight. I would even sack the exchange to take that knight, but I don't have to because I have a bishop trained on it. But this knight is an important defender, and you got to get rid of it. So he could preserve the knight by playing knight e5, and then my attack is a little more difficult. But he plays a different move instead, rook fe1, and now I can just crash through on f3. Oh, I didn't take that way. Sorry, cancel that. I took with the bishop. Okay, that was a reasonable way to take. G takes, rook takes, and now I've got 3 attackers on f2, and he's got to move his queen, so he's going to lose on f2 anyway. Plays here, and the game just goes downhill. It's pretty much over at this point. So let's just play out the rest of the moves. King h1 takes, queen takes. Oops, cancel. He didn't take. He played queen e6 check. Queen takes e6 check. Block. Then he took. And triple here. So at some point I'm going to exchange out on f1 there and just get into a simple ending that I can win. He went to queen to e2. And I short up my pawns over here. He went b3. And now I decided, well, enough fooling around with these pawns. And I didn't want to move my queen away from this diagonal and let him start getting some checks. So I decided the simplest thing to do was just to trade everything off. Now if the king moves, I can grab the rook in the corner, so these trades are forced. And he goes here, and now I just go after the pawns with my superior piece here. The rook is just better than the bishop in these open positions with pawns. The rook is just faster at scooping up the pawns. Okay, he played bishop g6, take with check, king g3, take here, and okay, let's just go through it. He moves his king around and doesn't really deal with my threat of queening the pawn. He was never going to be fast enough to get there anyway. And at this point, he decides to resign. So it was all over for quite a while there. But anyway, I thought there were some interesting lessons to be drawn about dealing with overly aggressive play from your opponent. The main thing is to be a little bit cautious, but proceed with your normal developing moves and make sure you counter all your opponent's threats, and you're just going to end up with a good position and win the game. And that's the way to play it. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. See you later. Bye.